Moon in Cancer. What does that mean if you're born with the moon in Cancer? So the moon is actually ruled by the sign Cancer. So there's a little bit of a powerful element to that, right? Cancer is a cardinal sign, and it's also a water sign. So when the moon is in a water sign, the emotions are going to be strong, whether or not that's Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. Just in itself, it's going to be a strong placement. In particular, with this particular moon, what I've noticed from doing charts is that these people are exceptionally intuitive. And it doesn't matter what profession they're in. I've seen bankers, finance, whatever with a moon in Cancer, they are extremely intuitive. And let me tell you, if you're intuitive, psychic, or what they would call a sensitive, that can work tremendously well in your life if you follow that intuition, because you are always being guided. You don't have to do it for a living. You really truly get feelings and know things if you follow it. So with this placement, there's some similarities with other water signs, and I'm going to get into that in a second. And there's also differences, but I am going through every single astrological sign here in the West as far as the moon goes. So please subscribe if you are interested in knowing more about your moon sign. And you can look, if you don't have your chart, you can look up your moon sign by literally just Googling where was the moon on this day, this year, whatever, because the moon changes signs every couple days. So you don't even need your whole entire chart to watch these videos. Obviously, there's more to it where the house is, what house the moon is in, the aspects, everything else. There's so much to it, like I always say. But this is just a basic video on each moon sign in the zodiac. So the moon in Cancer, there's a reason why the symbols are the symbols in astrology, right? The Cancer is the crab. He's got the hard outer shell. And if you've ever had hermit crabs as pets, which I have, they're super cute. You watch them change their shells, and their little bodies are all vulnerable, and they're little, they look like little pieces of snot underneath. They're super cute. And then they change their shell every once in a while to a different shell. And I'm not saying that Cancers are weak like a hermit crab underneath the shell, but there's a vulnerability and a heightened sensitivity. All water signs have a heightened sensitivity, and that's why water signs are known to be the most intuitive and sensitive to their surroundings. So that can be very good, and that can be very difficult to deal with if you are a water sign moon, or have a lot of water in your chart, or if you are close with somebody that has a lot of water in their chart. Because you know what, this makes these people sort of moody, because like I say, the moon changes signs every couple days, right? But they're so sensitive, these moon and Cancer people, that they could walk into a room and just not feel good being there because of the energy in the room and who they're surrounded to. So it's always important to learn detachment in life. Everybody, I think that's why, we all have Aquarius somewhere in our chart. We all have Uranus somewhere in our chart. So the stronger your Aquarian or Uranian vibe, the easier it is going to be for you to detach from other people, even if you are highly sensitive. So I always want to guard my moon in Cancer against the mood swings, because a lot of times what's going on, in my opinion, with you guys is it's not even your emotions. It's other people that you're picking up on, and they can really put you in a bad mood. So I know people do that whole white light, all that stuff. I don't do that. I just say a prayer that I am detached and guarded and away from any negative energy. That's what I do. That's my little thing with that, because a lot of water makes you more sensitive to everything and everyone around you, and you're not even consciously, logically aware of it. Sometimes it just happens. So that vulnerability is something that makes them private. Now remember, I'm not talking about the sun in Cancer or Cancer rising today. I'm talking about the moon in particular. So they are known to be a private sign. They're not going to tell you everything they're thinking, feeling, whatever, because they know the world is not a great place necessarily, right? There's good people, but there's a whole lot of bad people too. So the more open and vulnerable you are, basically They want to keep that shell, that hard shell around them, but what is underneath is very different. And that's something to remember when dealing with somebody with a moon in Cancer. They may come across as harder than they really are, but keep in mind that they're highly sensitive people. So treat them, with sensitivity, and don't just assume because they're acting a certain way that they don't have feelings or whatever. They're doing that because of vulnerability. Cancer and moon and Scorpio moon are similar and different. There's definitely some similarities. One of the similarities between both of them is a sense of paranoia. Both of these signs tend to veer on the paranoid side. And again, this is just from my research and experience and doing charts for so many years. This is what I've seen in different ways. Obviously Scorpio is ruled by Mars. That's more of an aggressive, aggressive vibe going on. But both of them, and the moon is kind of the way we filter life. The experiences we have, the people we meet along the way will kind of color us, and then we see through this moon lens. So because of the heightened sensitivity, both of these signs don't forget much. They really don't. What people have done to them. And the good thing about this is once they learn a lesson, then they can quickly, intuitively, if they meet the same type of person, be like, no, this isn't going to work for me. Scorpio is way more of a cutter offer than the Cancer is. Scorpio will just cut you out of their life, period. Never think about you again. You no longer exist. Not to say they don't still dislike you, because they probably do, but you just don't exist anymore. They've moved on. But Cancer is more of a holder honor. So Cancer, well, they both will hold on in different ways, but Cancer is almost, to me, a little bit more hypersensitive than the Scorpio moon, because Cancer holds on to everything. People, places, things, anybody with that moon in Cancer. I mean, if you see people on TV that whenever I watch those people that hoard everything or whatever, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wonder if their moon's in Cancer. I wonder if they have a lot of Cancer planets. I wonder if they have a lot of planets in the 4th house, because Cancer rules the 4th house. And remember, the 4th house is home and family, and it's also situations around the beginning of our life and near the end. So I look at aspects and transits with the 4th house to see kind of what was going on or what happened around the beginning. Of our lives, which color our lives. So that is the thing. This moon in Cancer is also, they're creative. A lot of times they're good writers too. I've seen that a lot with them. Because again, they're just always taking everything in. So they need that hard exterior. It's like they need something to protect them from the harsh reality of the world. Now, the Pisces moon, and we'll get to them later too, like I said, we're getting to every single sign here, is also very, very intuitive and sensitive, but they've got a totally different vibe. I personally have always seen more of a similarity between Scorpio and Cancer moons, and they both have that, those kind of wild mood swings sometimes. And if you add Mars in there, conjunction or whatever, forget it. That's a whole different story. Well, not a whole different, but exaggerated, you know what I mean? But in itself, this moon is so, and they're not going to tell you everything they're thinking, right? Unless it's aspecting Mars, and then they might, but or Pluto or something is going on there, but they're feeling it, but they hold it in. So they tend to just they're into home and family. They're into their home is like their hermit crab shell to them. So they're not going to be out and about. Now, people can be that way, and then they can learn how to be out and about, but then at the same time emotionally detach and just stop caring. And that's probably the best thing to do, because then you got the best of both worlds, but that takes practice and time. So that is the moon in Cancer. Highly intuitive, highly sensitive, doesn't let go of anything. They do hold a little grudge. So I'm going to do a video on the 3 signs. It's not just Scorpio, like everybody thinks it's just Scorpio. I mean, yeah, Scorpios do hold a grudge. That's not a lie, but there's a couple other signs that are just probably up there with Scorpio, and we'll talk about that later. But this is the moon in Cancer. So Those oracle cards on my website are still on sale, and they're going to be and throughout the summer, and then I'm getting rid of that website. That website's going down, like I said before. So it had my astrology oracle cards that I created, have all the planets, all the houses, all the signs, and a little booklet I wrote on how to use them. So if you're intuitive yourself and you like astrology, it's kind of a fun thing to have, because you can sit around and play with those with your friends, family, whatever. I've used astrology oracle cards my entire life. I was never a tarot card person, so I just used astrology, and it works. So anyways, that is on my website, and next is going to be the Leo moon. So please subscribe. And if you have a Cancer moon, let me know your experiences down there. I like to hear from you guys, and just your life experience, and or people that you're close to that have the Cancer moon, what you found. But there is a strength in every moon sign, and there is weaknesses in every moon sign, and that's just the way life is. Next time, see you later. Bye.